What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Once again, I appreciate everybody who tuned in, liked the video, watched the last video, commented on it, shared it, followed the Instagram. Everybody that been interacting with the page, and so I appreciate y'all for doing that. Before I start the video, I wanted to let y'all know that. And I told y'all I was coming with the episode, The Dynasty of the Bulls. So we're gonna get right into it. Every dynasty starts somewhere, so you got to start, of course, when Mike was drafted in 1984. Chicago Bulls took him third overall in 1984. That was a pretty good draft. Hakeem Olajuwon went number 1 in that draft, so that just goes to show you that draft has some talent in it as well. From 1984 to 1987, his first 3 seasons, they made the playoffs. His sophomore season, he broke his foot 5 games in. So, yeah, and they still ended up making the playoffs. They went out the first round that season, the sophomore season, and the first season in his third season, which was 86, 87. They went to the second round. 87, things would change. They had two top 10 lottery picks, 1987. They took Scottie Pippen at 8. It was a trade with the Supersonics. Actually, Seattle drafted him and traded him to the Bulls at 8. Horace Grant was drafted at 10. They off and running. The 87-88 season was real impressive for the Bulls. They went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals in Scottie Pippen rookie season. However, they lost to the Detroit Pistons. And I talked about the Detroit Pistons in one of my last previous videos. That's when basketball was rough. That's when you could do what you wanted. Detroit won their way. They played their style. The league was afraid of them. It was a lot of battles. Like, go look at those Eastern Conference battles back then, the Western Conference battles. The play style was just so much different and so aggressive. So Detroit ends up going on to win the championship. And then in the following season, they win another championship, knocking out the Bulls again in the Eastern Conference Finals. So back-to-back championships for Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, and they went to 3 straight finals. They actually lost the first time to the Lakers. So that just goes to show you that was a pretty good team, a real nice team. And that was an obstacle that Jordan and them had to overcome. They had to overcome the bad boy Pistons if they were going to win the championship. And they knew that. Every superstar, some superstars get it early. Some superstars win late. Some don't win at all. But you see the ones that really win championships and then had opportunities to compete in the finals and compete for championships, they didn't have obstacles. That team was an obstacle for them, not so much really. Boston were obstacles, but they met Boston in the semifinals. They had Boston by the time Scottie Pippen had got there and the Bulls got off and running. Boston was tailing off. And the Lakers really were tailing off too, but they pulled off another championship. Isaiah Thomas broke his ankle in the finals, like Game 5 of the finals. However, the Lakers bounced back 1990-1991 season. They go back to the finals, but this time, Michael Jordan has overcame the bad boy Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, sending them home, also going on to the NBA Finals, beating Magic Johnson and the Lakers. And that was the last time that we'll see Magic Johnson as Magic Johnson. His situation happened. And so the Lakers were pretty much through in the early 90s after that finals loss. Really, they were competitive still, but it was Jordan League. Jordan had officially took off. He won NBA Finals MVP, NBA MVP that same season, 1990 through 1993, the three-peat. The back-to-back championships wasn't easy. They had a lot of injuries that season. Then they go on to three-peat. And after the 1993 season, it was a lot of speculation. Jordan was tired of the game. There was gambling accusations, things like that. It was a lot of stuff surrounding Jordan at this time. His father had tragically got killed. And to know, his father got killed, and it's people out there that believe, and it's accusations and conspiracy theories. It's all type of crazy stuff that people actually think Michael Jordan has something to do with it, or people really feel that way, like it's his fault. And I couldn't really imagine that my dad passes away and I'm being blamed for it, type stuff. So I could only imagine how he felt at that time, what Mike was going through. He retired, and he retired in 1993 at the end of that season after the three-peat. And he went to play baseball. He went and did something that him and his dad always talked about. If you watched Like Mike, if you watched any sports movie, sports documentary, about Mike, him and his dad had a real genuine love for baseball, so he always wanted to do it. And he did it once his dad died, I guess, as, a tribute to him, to let him know, like, I'm going to live out our dream, because that was really what his dad wanted him to do. So, yeah, baseball career wasn't as successful as his basketball career, which that basketball career is hard to top for anybody. So, of course, baseball didn't really live up to expectations. And, okay, then we get to the 1993 and the 1994 season. Now, it's a little life without Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen made first team All-NBA that season, All-Star. They get to the playoffs that year. They lose in the second round to the New York Knicks. Patrick Ewing, New York Knicks. That was the first time the Knicks actually broke through. The Knicks would lose to the Bulls almost every year. It was like a tradition. But it was some good Eastern Conference battles back then. They would not only just lose to the Bulls, they would lose to Celtics. They would have good battles with Celtics and Miami back then. So it was good Eastern Conference battles back then. Not only would the Knicks break through, they broke all the way through, almost at least. The Knicks reached the NBA Finals, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, to I feel, which was the better team, the Houston Rockets, the eventual NBA champions. That same season was crazy, the 1993-1994 season. In the middle of Game 1, the O.J. Simpson Bronco chase was going down, so they interrupted a live NBA Finals game for that. So that just shows you the world was really crazy back then. It was a lot of stuff going on in that year, 1993. We had sports with no mic. That was kind of hard for people to adjust to. People were happy that we were getting a new champion, but it's like, dang, the face of the league is really gone, And at that time, people really thought he was retired, like done forever. So, yeah, congrats to the Knicks on making the finals. Congrats to Patrick Ewing, John Starks, really good players from that era. Anthony Mason. So shout out to them for making the finals. However, the Houston Rockets won in 7 games. Hakeem Olajuwon was finals MVP. And then you move on to the next season, 1994-1995. Bulls was pretty mediocre that year. Michael Jordan decided March 18th, 1995, he wrote to the press 2 words. He just simply said, "I'm back." And that kind of let the league know right there what was coming, what was in store. That same season, the 1994-1995 season, they will move on to the second round and play the Orlando Magic. Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway Magic. That was a good up-and-coming, nice, young, get up and down the floor team. Really played defense well. Chicago haven't played no athletic team like that up until that point. Detroit Bad Boys were not athletic, Indiana was not athletic like that. Boston was not athletic. The Lakers were the closest team to being that athletic that Chicago has seen up until that point. Yeah, so Orlando Magic end up moving on to the NBA Finals that same season after beating Michael Jordan and the Bulls in the second round. Out of the West was the Houston Rockets once again, looking to defend their championship. Houston Rockets won the NBA championship again, making it back-to-back championships, back-to-back Finals MVPs for Hakeem Olajuwon. So the Rockets were here. At this point, it's 1995, going into 1996. The 90s started, and we only seen 2 champions. So it was looking like it's Chicago League, and it was looking like it was Houston League in the West. But all that would change in the 1995-1996 season. This season was the most historical season in NBA history. It would have been Golden State, but Golden State ended up not finishing the job. 1995-96 is simple. 72-10 record. Never lost more than 4 games that season in a row. Won their first 20. They won 21 out of their first 23 games. They were 35-0 at home, I seen. Just crazy. That's just crazy. And that was the first team to do that. To even beat the Lakers record, because at the time the Lakers had the record of like 67, 68 wins, and Chicago beat that record, breezed through the playoffs, went on to win the NBA championship. Of course, Michael, NBA MVP, first team All-NBA, first team All-Defense. Scottie made first team All-Defense that year. That was a good year for the Bulls. They go on to win the NBA championship, and kind of let the league know, we back. We got Michael back. We here, like we're back. Chicago will once again in the following season, 96-97, prove they're here. They're a real dynasty. So they go on to back-to-back, which would be their second back-to-back, because they back-to-back and actually three-peated before Michael retired. It was like a redemption type thing. If Michael would have came back and not won, people would really look at him, his legacy, the Bulls, kind of differently. I don't know if he will be in the GOAT conversation if he doesn't come back and win those 3. So those were 3, the 3 most vital championships to me, even more so than the first 3. I mean, of course, you always want to win that first one and get your name cemented. But as far as for Michael Jordan, it was simply about, could he come back and do it? It was no question of what he had done already. It was, could he come back and do it? Now, ultimately, what broke the Bulls up was front office, management. They just didn't get along, and all of this really started. And you know, you hear stuff about teams when they're losing. You hear drama, everything from the top to the bottom, negative. All that stuff starts to come out when a team is losing. Winning teams keep things in house, or some things go under the rug, things like that, and that's in all sports. So you would think at this time, they're going into their last dance season. They're going into their three-peat, the second three-peat, 97-98 season. Jerry Krause didn't even want to hire Phil Jackson back after the 5th championship. Him and Phil Jackson had fell out. And really, Jerry Krause, and they featured it in The Last Dance, he had a real problem with Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson, the players that played for the Bulls. He had a real problem with them getting all the credit for winning the championships. Jerry Krause was one of those type of people, like, okay, he would throw jabs all the time in interviews and training camp. When they would ask him about Michael and Tony Kukoc and Scottie and, you know, different Bulls players and how important are they to the team, he would answer the question, but he would throw little jabs and like, I'm the one got him here. And it started brewing. It started brewing actually after the 4th championship. It was a lot of speculation and talk about Phil not being there no more. He really did not want Phil Jackson to be the coach. Like, he despised it. The only reason Phil Jackson was the coach was because Michael Jordan said, I'm not playing for another coach other than Phil Jackson. Because Michael had played with 2 previous coaches before. So, obviously, Phil got them over the hump. I would rather stay with that championship coach as well. A coach that knows the system, knows the team. He's been here half a decade. So, at this point, I understand. Jerry Krause didn't care about that. Jerry Krause wanted to bring in another coach, win another championship, I guess for himself to prove that I did this. I put this team together. Jerry Krause just had a real problem, and this was the GM at the time who built the team, who drafted Scottie and drafted Horace Grant and drafted Tony Kukoc. So he really did put the team together and traded for Dennis Rodman. So kudos to Jerry Krause. He did a good job doing what he was supposed to do. A GM is supposed to build a team, but he was going out in interviews saying, I built this team. I should get credit for this dynasty. And this is in the middle of these seasons. This wasn't in the off season. He's saying that. He's saying that any chance he gets. Michael being Michael and Scottie will poke fun at Jerry Krause. Make jokes about him on the openly, all in training camp, preseason, any chance they got. It was so bad that at Michael Jordan Hall of Fame speech, he asked Jerry Krause, why are you here? Nobody invited you. And this is 10, 15 years after he retired, so that just lets you know. Michael and the players, and they expressed it in The Last Dance, they really didn't appreciate how Jerry Krause was me. I did this all by myself, like the type of credit he were trying to take or he would put on himself. So they just didn't like that, and it was brewing. And you would think, okay, if the Bulls are losing, all this stuff was come out, but no, they were NBA champions multiple times, and this stuff was coming out. So the beginning of the end, you seen the writing on the wall, for it to explode down the line in the future, but it happened sooner than expected. Going into that Last Dance season, Michael said on numerous occasions, you let somebody beat us. You let somebody knock us off the throne. Don't blow the team up after the season, because Jerry Krause made it clear. Phil gone, Scottie gone. Michael was the only one untouchable. And Jerry Krause, reasoning for this, he said that none of the players besides Michael could compete at a high level after that season. You would never find out because they broke the team up. Jerry Krause didn't want Phil to be there. So it was more than just about winning. If it was about winning, Jerry Krause would have kept the team together. You're even lucky that Michael came back to play basketball. Or else you would have been stuck at 3 championships. So Jerry Krause say it was about winning. It was about putting the team in the right situation. But I don't see how they put the team in the right situation. Because after that season, Chicago hasn't done anything nearly close to that. The best thing that has happened to Chicago outside of Michael Jordan was Derrick Rose, and that was short-lived. So they still haven't recovered from blowing that 1998 team up, the Last Dance team. And the Last Dance season was tough. Scottie held out the first half of the season, so it really was just Mike and Tony Kukoc. That was it. And they had the role players, stuff like that, but it was Mike and Tony Kukoc, really more so Mike. Tony Kukoc played better, and he was actually the leading scorer that year that they lost to the Knicks over Scottie Pippen. So that just goes to show you they had talent on the team, but Tony Kukoc was a second player. He was a second best player on the team. Everybody know he was not better than Mike, and he really wasn't even better than Scottie. He just could score better than Scottie. So you had just those two guys, and there was a mediocre season. The first half of the season, the record wasn't that good. Scottie comes back, everything smooth sailing. cruise to the NBA Finals. And they will meet the Utah Jazz again. The Utah Jazz made the finals the previous year. Lost to the Bulls. So this was Utah last run as well. Their team, they didn't have a lot of turmoil and a lot of talk around their team, but their team was getting ready to blow up as well. Karl Malone was like, okay, gonna try to stick this out a couple more years. He was getting older. John Stockton was getting older. So the Utah Jazz is also looking at it like we're trying to win a championship and we're trying to rebuild. We're trying to blow this team up. So that was two teams with a lot on the line. Chicago won Game 6, obviously. Jordan hit the shot of shots, the famous push-off shot that everyone talks about. And that's supposed to be a perfect ending. And honestly, Jordan and the Bulls and Scottie and all those guys, they didn't want it to even end. Like they said, beat us. If Utah would have beat them, then, okay, you break the team up. They didn't lose. Jerry Krause just had a real issue with not getting credit. And his plan ultimately backfired because the Bulls would go on to never win another championship. He ends up stepping down. Phil goes on to win 5 more championships. So you really could have had something special. Who knows? Who knows if they win more than 6? They might, even if they keep the team together, they might not win after that 6th championship. Who knows? I can't just say they would automatically win, but 3-peat, 2 3-peats, you have to give that team a chance to defend what's theirs. And they didn't after that the last dance season. Jerry Krause fulfilled his promise, fired Phil Jackson, got the moving pieces around, and Mike retired officially for the 2nd time. And we wouldn't see Mike again until the Wizards stint. And yeah, so it's just like it was egos, personal greed. I want this, I want that. Jerry Krause wasn't talked about. He wasn't getting the credit he felt he deserved. And it's like, dude, who cares about if it's really about winning? That's what you in the game for. You're in the game to win. Bob Myers is a hell of a GM. That's the general manager for the Warriors. You don't hear him coming out saying, I did this, I put this team together, blah, blah, blah. Jerry Krause made it about because Michael Michael Jordan was a global icon of the 90s. Everywhere you went, it was Michael. Maybe that was a lot for Jerry Krause to handle. Phil Jackson didn't seem bothered. His teammates didn't really seem bothered by it. It was just Jerry Krause. So his plan ultimately backfired anyways. You never go on to win anything. So it just would have been interesting to see them at least defend their title 1 or 2 more times. Maybe he has 7, maybe he has 8, maybe he loses. Yeah, so with that being said, it just would have been nice to see someone knock them off, take the throne from Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Not from the top of the very top of the franchise. That can't be the root of the downfall. Jealousy and envying your own players and your coaching staff. I thought it was all about winning. I really don't agree with a lot of the stuff Jerry Krause did. But things work out like that. Who knows? It's always a what if. What if they would have got 7? What if they would have got 8? What if the team would have stayed together? Who knows how long of a run they could have had. We seen Golden State when they had their run, they got knocked off. Bob Myers, their GM, didn't go out and say, all right, let's break the team up. I like Steve Kerr, but I really don't like Steve Kerr because he getting too much credit. So, nothing like that happened. And still hasn't happened to this day. With the Bulls, it's just kind of messed up how jealousy really ruined a great team and a great franchise and an opportunity to really do something special. they did do something special, but it was broken up way too soon. Once again, thank everybody for sitting through the video. Even if you listen for a few minutes, hopefully y'all learned some new things from the video. Maybe things y'all didn't know about Mike, the NBA, the Pistons, the Pacers, the Knicks, all of the teams that he was going up against, how the league was. Once again, so I thank y'all. I hope y'all learned something. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Mike's one of the greatest of all time. The Bulls are the greatest team of all time. That's no debate there. So yeah, let me know who y'all want like a video on next. I got one for Eli and Peyton that I'm working on, but if it's a team, a player, a rapper, singer, anything like that y'all want me to do this same similar type video, y'all just let me know on the Instagram or in the comments. Once again, thank y'all, and I'll see y'all next video.
Invited him, I didn't, but I hope he understands. I hope he understands it goes a long way, and he was a very competitive person. I was a very competitive person. He said organization wins championships. I said I didn't see organization playing with the flu in Utah. I didn't see him playing with with the bad ankle.